Now, why is it that you say something to a person through the years and the person never listens to you, doesn't believe you, doesn't do what you say, and suddenly they do it? Maybe because you said it again, or maybe they experience something, or maybe somebody else said that thing, and then finally the person changed and believe you or take the action that you mentioned. Or the other way, that it's about you, that you hear some ideas, some suggestion that you should change your thinking, your beliefs, or you should take an action, but you never listen. Now, so why do we have this? Of course, there are many reasons. One reason is, for example, that everybody is saying in the family that don't eat that food, it's not healthy for you, and then you have a disease but you still eat it. But then you go to the doctor and the doctor says that, hey, don't eat that, don't go to McDonald's and eat junk food, and then you change. No, but I'm not talking about this, that the authority is saying that it can be one reason. I'm talking about the system approach of this. So you hear it one time, but it doesn't really mean it, you cannot really connect to anything, but you put in your mind, and then you hear it again, and it will confirm that you start to understand what people say, but you still don't change your beliefs, you don't change your actions, because there is no enough reasons, you didn't build a system. But if you hear things from many different sources, then you are laying down the foundations of a system that later will enable you to change. So you hear something, but you have a strong belief system, but now this one is a new one, and the strong is much stronger, the old one is much stronger, so you build a new system, just one foundation, but it's too weak, it doesn't mean anything. And you hear the same idea, let's say you read a book, but it's still not enough, but you put down another foundation, another source, another logic, another rationality for that new idea, and then maybe another family member mentions this, or you experience something. So you during the years, months and years, you build and put down the foundations of a new way of thinking, a new way of acting, but you are not thinking in the new way because you still have the old system and you live in the old system, but maybe subconsciously you are building a new system which does not function yet. And the big change, the sudden change, comes when the last necessary element is there in the system. So let's say you already have 10 different way of influence, you influence 10 different ways about a subject, but you still don't really believe this, but it's on your mind. And then you put number 11 reason, let's say your boss tells this, but not because of the boss, because maybe that is the last one that puts everything together, and yeah, I was so stupid, everybody told this, I read in the book, I even have the experience, I didn't really understood that one, but now I understand. Oh, how couldn't I see this? It's so obvious. And then when the system is built, it's like a kind of arch. When you build the arch, two sides, you have to support from below, but when you put the last element that holds them together, then this arch will exist and support and will be very, very strong. So system thinking is a good way to explain why we don't listen to other people's advice, either personally or through books or seminars or videos, But suddenly, years later, we change and we just realize that, yeah, that is the way. Now, okay, a very current example that just happened 2 days ago. In Hong Kong, there is a new payment system. The government created a FPS, a faster payment system that people can pay to each other. And I heard it from different sources. I was told that, hey, use this for the business, let the people pay, it's an easier payment. I was thinking, read about this, thinking, and nothing happened. But suddenly, I got a student, and the student wanted to transfer the first time the money to my account, but she didn't want to go to the ATM and transfer. She could not use the traditional internet, but she asked that whether this new system that the government created, which helps us anybody to transfer money free and immediately from any bank in Hong Kong to another bank, and she insisted to this one, so we had to ask another person to transfer the money to that person's account, and the person gives it. So, and this was the final stone in the building, the final element in the system that it persuaded me that yes, I have to change and register to this system, and I have to use this system because it will cause difficulties for my students, and maybe I lose business because if I don't follow the new technological trend that people use this system. So even if I heard it for 6 months, I read about this, I was thinking about this actively, but the last element, the keystone, in the building, the keystone is that the last element that makes everything functional. In the same in the system building, there is a last, the key element, which is itself is not so important, but all together with the element, anything can be the last element. But when enough power comes from the system, then people will change their beliefs and they change their actions, and the result will be different. So always focus on this, that don't be angry with somebody that you told them many times to change, to do something, don't eat that food, quit smoking. But and finally it seems that suddenly they quit smoking. And why? Because my friend quit smoking. But I told you for many years, quit smoking. You didn't listen. So it's not about that the person not necessarily respect you, but it was a last element that needed to hear again, and that was the keystone, that was the last pillar of the building that he was building slowly, and suddenly he was able to change.